Oops. I almost forgot my mic. Hello, everybody. Coming at you a little bit later than usual. Sorry about that. It's been a bit of a hectic weekend, you guys. Oh, Allison, I'm not Albert. I'm Dion. Unless Albert's in the chat. Hello, hello? Can you hear me? It's all good. You guys can hear me though, right? I dropped my mic earlier. Sorry. Just gonna test. Okay. I think you guys can hear me. Okay. Alright. Sorry, y'all. I'm so flustered. Okay. We're good. We're good. Welcome to the General Hospital After Show. I'm your host, Dion Gabriel, also known as Albert sometimes, I guess. It ain't a bad thing. I love Albert. Yeah, casting spoilers are the one spoiler that I do follow. And we're going to address it, don't worry. I actually was going to plan on making it part of the thumbnail, and then I forgot. But yeah, now since I'm running, later than usual, we'll just jump right into things. Hey Brooklyn, and hey Sandy, hey Allison, SLJ, Kaiwan, all the people in the chat. Good to see you guys. But yeah, let's get into it. First of all, we'll talk about Maxie, because then it'll kind of lead into the casting news. If you know, you know. And if you don't, you will in a sec. But yeah, so Maxie is in a pretty dire situation. Hey Albert. Good to see you in the chat too. Alright, but yeah, so Maxie's in a pretty dire situation. She collapsed on live television after using a sample of Deception's new product during a Home and Heart segment. It turns out she had a heart attack. It was pretty touch and go, but Lucas and Elizabeth managed to get her heart started again. Unfortunately, by the end of the week, she still hasn't woken up. Presumably, this is to coincide with Kirsten Storm's exit story as she takes a hiatus to get settled into her new home, which I think is in Texas. And she's set to return at the end of the year. That's not the casting news. Hold. On the plus side, though, this story has given us a lot of great things this week. From the performances by Bradford Anderson, who plays Spinelli, to Christina Wagner, who plays Felicia, and then to characters putting aside their differences to focus on what's important, mainly Maxie, of course. Lulu was kind of the focal point of that kind of storyline, since Obrecht is a part of Maxie's family through hers and Nathan's child, James. Lulu managed to see Obrecht as a real human being for once, who's faced loss herself and is scared for someone they mutually love. And she helped Lulu tell James the news about Maxie as well. Georgie too. I think Georgie knew a little bit, but Lulu and Obrecht sat them both down and worked together to kind of ease them into this scary situation for them. And Lulu was thankful that Obrecht was there to help her sort of navigate that. Lulu vowed to be more considerate with Obrecht going forward, and Obrecht and her both talk about possibly Maxie ending up in a coma, because the longer she doesn't wake up from the surgery, the more likely she is going to fall into one. And it also helped her put things into perspective when it came to Brooklyn, since they both love Maxie too. Tracy at the Q's horse ranch dressed down in work clothes while taking care of the horses. A look I never thought we'd see her in if you were to ask me this like 10 years ago. But yeah, they had a conversation about Lulu as well, because Brooklyn left the hospital early because she didn't want to get in Lulu's way. Tracy said that was a mistake because the person who matters most in the situation is Maxie, and they both need to be there for her and the rest of the Scorpio family as well. So Brooklyn goes to Maxie's where Lulu is, because Lulu's the one taking care of the kids, and the two of them called a truce so they could both be there for Maxie together. It's honestly what I wanted. We've talked about it in the streams before. I think I said something like, Brooklyn and Lulu just both need to go through something traumatic together that brings them together. And this kind of goes into the category, so there you have it. It's going to hopefully bring them a little bit closer, or at least to be civil with each other and understand each other, and to work together to make Maxie know that she is loved and everyone is taking care of her until she's ready to come back to the fold. And honestly, that's pretty much how Lulu and Maxie became friends too, when you think about it, because they became friends when Logan tried to R-word Maxie. And Lulu ended up stabbing and killing him in self-defense after he discovered that she witnessed his attack on Maxie. So that's what brought them together as friends. And then they ended up being best friends after that too. So again, not as crazy of a situation, but it still ended up with Maxie very hurt. And since Maxie loves them both, they need to rally together to be there for each other and for the Scorpio family. Anyway, I mentioned Nathan's name somewhere in all of that bickering that I did, or not bickering, but just talking. And so we found out that Ryan Pavey, who played Nathan, is returning to the show. And again, they haven't announced if he's going to be playing Nathan again. I truly hope he's not, because of how his death played out. Much like I didn't really want Kelly to be Brit, but at the same time did. But with Nathan, it's like we had such a good send-off for the character. Like, the funeral was so well done. We seen Nathan's ghost walk off with Georgie's ghost. Like they were taking care of each other. And like, I don't know. I like Ryan Pavey. I'm intrigued to know where this is gonna go. It's just, if he's alive, like, I'd be happy for Obrecht, but it's just two ridiculous stories for the price of one, essentially. But we'll see. We will see. Allison, you said, I hope he's not Nathan. I like Spixie. I like Spixie too. I like Spixie better than I liked Nathan and Maxie. But yeah, just going back on Maxie's story for a minute, because there's something I forgot to mention. Later, the doctors discovered that there's some kind of unknown thing in her system, like an enzyme or something like that. And Anna thinks it's possible that she was purposely poisoned. We do know that Sidwell stumbled onto information about Maxie through James and Cody, when it comes to Mac, I think. And whatever it is might have directly caused him to poison her. We don't know that for sure, but that's my theory anyway. And I'm sure that's kind of probably everyone's a little bit. Because he seemed very eager to watch the segment for whatever reason. But yeah, I don't know. As for Lulu, after her truce with Brooklyn, Laura pays her a visit at the house, and Lulu's struggling with worrying about how she'll have to try and be strong enough to be there for Maxie if she ends up falling for a coma. She doesn't know if she's as strong as Maxie was and as Laura was when Lulu fell into a coma. She sits there talking to Laura like, I don't know how you were able to do this for 4 years, Mom. And I'm sitting there like, Lulu, your mom literally was also in a coma for also 4 years, and you visited her all 4 years. I mean, I guess she was younger, but like, she still frequently visited her and talked to her all the time. So I don't know. Like, Laura was in a coma for 4 years, and then she came back for like a month to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Luke and Laura wedding back in 2006, and then went into a coma again for another 2 years after that. I can't believe it's almost been 45 years now since Luke and Laura got married, but that's so crazy. Time flies, y'all. But yeah, I don't know. Another case of the writers forgetting their own stories, even though I know they've had many different writers over the years. But like, I feel like that's one of the biggest things that happened to Laura ever. So to kind of forget about that seems a bit ridiculous. Austin said, if Nathan can come back, anyone can. That's kind of how I feel about Britt, honestly. We saw her die on screen. We saw her body the next day, looking quite pale. Hey, Angel. I don't know. It's just ridiculous and bananas to me. And of course, Britt and Jason, they haven't even discussed how she came back in the first place. We'll talk about that in a sec. But first of all, we'll get into Joss and Vaughn. It ties into the story anyway. But yeah, we'll talk about this new WSB duo, Joss and Vaughn. Joss had to end up shooting the man who attacked Vaughn, and she didn't quite kill him. So Vaughn had to finish the job by smothering him to death. Then they had to dispose of the body, and it actually traumatized Joss, which is probably the most realistic thing that's happened in this cockamamie story of Joss becoming a WSB agent. She was sobbing in the shower, wearing all her clothes and crying. When Vaughn realized that she was in there sobbing, he went in there and sat with her, and they ended up kissing, and of course they ended up sleeping together right after that. So, Jocelyn wanted to distract herself from that, so they decided that they should both focus on looking for Britt. Apparently, it took them the whole week, and they still couldn't find Britt, which is crazy to me, because it's just one resort, and it's hilarious because Jason and Britt seem to find each other easily, like even in each other's rooms. So, man, like, what are these agents doing wrong that they can't find her? I don't know. But yeah, Britt and Jason's reunion, by the way, anything but cordial. Britt is pissed that Jason faked his death, despite faking her own. I mean, he told her how he got captured by the FBI, and ended up being an informant for them because they had information that could put Carly in prison, which just brought back all the memories for Britt about how Jason dumped Britt like a hot potato just to marry Carly to save her, and help her run the business or whatever. But yeah, Jason tried to help Britt with whatever danger she's in, and she refused to take his help. And then later in the week, Britt realized that Jason was in danger because the people that she's working for think that Jason might also be in the WSB like Joss and Vaughn were. And they have their delivery person, Greta, who I think was recast, by the way, flirting with him to try and see if he's an agent as well. And she tries to warn him, Britt tries to warn him that he's in danger from her. The party never ends in Croatia because also Vaughn apparently got captured and Jocelyn got captured shortly after that. So there we have it. That's the going-ons in Croatia, guys. I don't know how I feel about the story so far. I really don't. Oh, also, Jocelyn knows that Jason's in Croatia. She spotted him with Greta, and she had ran back to tell Vaughn about it, but Vaughn was already captured. Forgot that part. Sorry about that. But yeah, moving on. Let's talk about Stella. Curtis's Aunt Stella. She was feeling the heat when investigators accused her of possibly committing fraud, which she did. For the greater good. It is what it is. But it didn't take very long for Curtis, Stella, and Alexis, whom he hired to help Stella, to figure out that it was Drew. Mostly because Stella mentioned Martin was told he couldn't be her lawyer as he's a person of interest in the case. And they were like, well, maybe Martin casually mentioned it to Drew. I don't think he would do it out of spite, which Martin didn't. Martin also figured out that Drew threw Stella under the bus just to get revenge on Curtis. So let's just talk about Drew, you guys. Our favorite time pass, in these live streams. It was a fun week, honestly, because of Drew. It was a fun week. So more and more people are realizing how much of a shady garbage human being Drew is, and I'm here for it. He tried to use Michael punching him in the face to extort Sonny's cooperation with him, while ADA Turner was in another room listening to Drew try to extort Sonny. Unfortunately, she couldn't really do anything about it without tanking her own career because if she told anyone, she would have to disclose that she was with Sonny at his house. Not that they were doing anything like super inappropriate except for eating dinner because, Donna, but she an attempt was made. She tried, and Anna's like, how do you know this? And she's like, I can't disclose that. And Anna's like, well, if you can't give me all the information, I can't act on the accusation that Drew is shady as they come on a feeling. So thankfully, Drew was so eager to use the punch against Michael to try and put Willow back into his good graces that he overplayed his hand a little bit. He went to the hospital to document his itty-bitty black eye and then made his way to the PCBD to ask to press charges against Michael for assault. Unfortunately, and hilarious enough, none of the 9 witnesses that Chase talked to actually witnessed the punch. Well, Martin probably did, and so did Stella probably, but considering what Drew was doing to them, can't blame them. Since Martin was aware that Drew was throwing the lovely Stella Henry under the bus, he tried to get Drew to drop the investigation in order to sign Drew's claimed written statement. To be fair, some of the statement that Drew made was false. Drew tried to claim that Michael threatened to kill him. So that was false, and that was already rubbing Martin the wrong way to begin with. And when Martin gave Drew the ultimatum to drop the charges so that he would sign the papers, which I didn't like that, by the way. Didn't like that Martin seemed to be willing to sign it, even if it saves a friend. But, needless to say, Drew refused to drop the charges against Stella, and so Martin refused to sign the papers. And then Drew fired Martin as his attorney. But I do have to give props to Martin for that, because, Martin's been kind of a whipping boy to, just bad men in general. That seems to be his MO, first with Valentine, and then, now with Drew. But yeah, at this rate, you would have to actually be stupid to trust Drew at this point with anything. But, Willow proved to us that people are still in fact stupid. He manipulated her once again into thinking that Michael wanted to take away her kids from her forever, because he hates her, and she's desperate for her kids. So she decides to trust him again, and yeah. Allison, you said Carly probably brought the witnesses off. Maybe. Who knows? Sandy said the DA wants some Sonny bad. She sure does. But yeah, no one but Willow trusts Drew. Well, Kai does apparently too. Like, we haven't really seen him this week, but, you know, he's still on his side a little bit. It is what it is. But yeah, Nina witnessed Drew and Willow hugging. Although I will say that when Willow was hugging Drew, she looked like she felt a little bit repulsed. You know? Like, this woman is traumatized. And mentally ill. She needs help. Brooklyn, you said, I was so entertained watching Drew's face when Martin didn't sign it. Yeah, it was hilarious. Michael has all the money and the power to take your kids away. Well, Willow's making it easy. She's acting like a nut job. No judge in her right mind would give Willow those kids. I don't know what you're thinking, Kaiwan. She's mentally ill. She's a shitty mom. She's a shitty mom. She's not a good mom. She's not a good judgment of character. Look at her trusting this man, Drew. Yeah, Angel. Willow literally don't learn. She's psycho. She is truly psycho. Like, everyone is telling her why she lost the kids. And, you know, Kaiwan, Michael hasn't used any of his power and money to take away her kids. Apart from, you know, going to court. He didn't use his money to influence the judge. The judge was paid off, but not by Michael, though. The judge was paid off by Sidwell because he wants to manipulate Michael. But the judge probably would have came to the same conclusion anyway. Probably. If not, like, maybe at most, like, slight visitation. But no judge in their right mind, given all the illegal shit that Willow did, would give any custody to Willow. Maybe visitation, but that's it. And if you think otherwise, you're crazy. He worked with Sasha to do what? Get her out of town because Willow was chasing her crazy freaking, you know, vendetta against Michael. And made them think that they were going out of town. Or made them think that they were, you know, having an enemy going after them. Yeah, supervised visitation, at most. That judge was not going to give any custody to Willow, whether Sidwell paid her off or not. Maybe visitation, but she wasn't going to get custody. She listed all the very valid reasons why she didn't get those kids. Worthless Sasha to kidnap his daughter. He got his daughter out of a scary situation. He had every right to do it. It's his kid. It's not kidnapping. Willow didn't have custody. Michael made a move as a parent to get his kids out of a dangerous situation. And if it was kidnapping, Mac would have arrested Michael, but he didn't. So, false, Kaiwan, as proven by the show. No, she did have very valid reasons to not have those kids for custody. Willow illegally took her kids out of state lines without giving Michael permission. Illegally got Drew to get emergency custody of the kids without Michael's permission. So made bad decision after bad decision, and that's why she lost custody. She was not going to get custody. Temporary custody? Well, yeah, he needed to. You saw that Drew was a danger to the kids. Unless you have blind glasses. Are you like color? Like, I don't know. Like, what are you watching? You are literally the only person I have seen that thinks that Willow would have won custody of her kids. You are the only person in every chat and every live stream I've ever watched. You are the only person that thinks this. So when 99% of the audience can see it and you can't, you might have to accept that you're wrong, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's ridiculous. It's insane. Yeah, she literally alienated Michael's rights as a father. Yeah, and even Christina called her out again. You wouldn't even let the kids talk to Michael. Christina had to arrange the whole thing. So she's showing that she is a shitty mom. She's shown it time and time again. The judge listed it. And half the shit she did was illegal. Therefore, she lost custody. Sandy says Willow should never have those kids again. I wouldn't go that far. But like, the girl needs psychiatric help. She needs therapy. She needs to get away from Drew. Maybe get like a freaking, I don't know, restraining order. Really, Michael should get a restraining order to have Drew stay away from the kids at all times. Liz was such a bitch to Christina Friday. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about this part of the story. So, Rick had told Willow that she's going to need more than statements from her colleagues to prove to a judge that she's capable of being a good mom, and that she'd need a family member to vouch for her. And it's funny because, like, Willow doesn't really have family. She has Nina. She doesn't have a dad. Doesn't have any siblings that are alive. So it's really just, like, Michael's family. And she tries to recruit Christina, but Christina shut her down fast. Unfortunately, Elizabeth witnessed this and tries to throw what Christina did in Christina's face to convince her to help Willow, and Christina seems like she might do it, if only to avoid jail time, probably, because Liz didn't, in so many words, like, say that she was going to blackmail her into helping Willow, but she definitely guilt-tripped her. And I think Christina's maybe considering it. But funny enough, shortly after that, Elizabeth hears Willow calling Drew to say that she needs him. So Elizabeth probably feels like the biggest idiot right now. So hopefully she runs back to Christina and be like, wait, never mind. This girl needs help. Angel said she had Obrecht. Britt, when she comes back, she had Maxie. Willow has family. Nah, I guess that's true. But, like, I don't think Obrecht's seen how batshit crazy Willow is. I don't think that she would be gunning to fight for Willow to get her kids back. I think that Obrecht and even Maxie and Britt when she comes back, I think that all three of them, if they seen, knowing the state that Willow is in currently, I think that they would simply try to convince her to seek therapy. What is Christina lying about? Like, is she a hypocrite? Maybe. But, like, Christina's not wrong. Willow literally would refuse to let the kids contact Michael. So she had to do it for them and had to play nice to her. So, I mean, Willow was like, you lied to me. Well, yeah, you were keeping the kids away from Michael. I had to act nice just to get them to talk to Michael. I know, come on, you're not going to convince anyone in this chat or any chat or me that Willow is a shitty mom, because she is. She's a garbage mom. She's the worst mom. Maybe Nell's the worst mom. Nell's the worst mom. Willow's the second worst mom. She's a hypocrite and a liar. How are you going to be so into your own family you're willing to help to laugh at him about murder? Okay, but literally Willow's a hypocrite too. So, what's your point? Yeah, who is it? Alison, yeah, everyone's a hypocrite. Okay, so they're both hypocrites. Congratulations, they're on even ground, I guess. But she's still a shitty mom. Willow is literally putting her kids in a situation with a man that's willing to lie and traumatize her son just to get Michael away from the kids, when Michael and Willow were well on their way to finding a compromise, just because he didn't want Michael in her life anymore. So Michael was laughing with Christina about attempted murder. Well, Kaiwan, Willow was laughing at the fact that she scared Sasha out of town because they thought that Sunny's enemies was after them. What's different? Like, congratulations, you've proven that they're equally shitty people. Like... Her ex-husband trying to threaten her to... Who's ex-husband? Who are you talking about? But yeah, again, like, you can list off all these ways that Christina did this and Michael did this, but Willow is doing just as shitty things. So, Willow was willing to let her boss be blackmailed by Drew into changing Michael's, you know, things to make it look like he's an addict. So, you know, honestly, they should just kill off Willow and Drew and be done with it. Have them both drive off a cliff and show the bodies, and then like show the people burying the bodies, so we never have to deal with these again. Like, Kaiwan, you can like blow up with your face all red about Willow and, you know, people attacking Willow, but she deserves it, and you just have to live with that. And that's the thing, Allison's saying most GH characters are shitty people. Who cares? There's nowhere to turn. Michael has all the power. No. He doesn't have to use the power because she's acting like a batshit crazy person. Michael has all the power because she let him have it. By, you know, putting her kids in a dangerous situation with this crazy man who's out to hurt the kids and to hurt everyone she cares about and to isolate her because he's like a cult leader and the only member that he wants is Willow. And she's stupid enough to fall for it. That ain't Michael's fault. Willow's doing the rest of the work for him. The only money he used was the same amount of money that she used to go to court and get a lawyer. That is the only money she used. And in terms of the power, she just had a friend, you know, to get the kids out of the house. And if Willow wasn't so stupid, she'd have friends to help her do the same. No, he's definitely... Drew and Shiloh are two of the same, you know, side of the coin, or whatever the saying is. Oh yeah, Allison, or was it... No, SLJ. Yeah, there's one more thing we have to discuss tonight. So we'll get into the final thing here. So, at this, like, the only other thing that really happened, in terms of, like, worth of mentioning, Michael has billions of dollars. As good as the security did, she still got into the house and got to get the kids. Let it go, Kaiwan. Conversation's done. But yeah, Willow has no friends because Drew isolated her. But anyway, so let's talk about Cody and Molly. Cody's a little bit all over the place this week, especially with Maxie in the hospital, but because he got a reminder that he should try and be a better person from Tracy in the previous week, he seemed to be contemplating admitting his motives to Ava when she stopped by to visit him. But when Ava showed him who she is by saying she wanted to stay with Rick just to spite Alexis and her kids, Cody actually tried to be like, well, Molly seems fine. Didn't try to defend Christina at all. And Ava starts just trashing Molly to pieces, saying that she's the worst out of all of them, which seems so left field to me because, like, they barely interact. It just seems like, I don't know, a way to move the plot along that's just flimsy at best. Oh yeah, the plot, by the way, is that Molly needed to walk in on Cody and Ava kissing shortly after admitting to Michael that she had feelings for Cody, because I think when Cody realized that Ava's just trying to stay with Rick to stick it to Molly, as well as Christina and Alexis, he's now trying to distract her you know, for Molly's sake, probably. I mean, he was doing that to begin with Christina, but I think it's more about the money and Christina, more than the money and Christina right now. Allison, you said Molly's just painfully awkward. Yep. Shout out to the corny scenes of, like, Molly imagining her book at that one location that GH can afford to shoot at with the awful fence and stuff. I would have rather they just used a soap set. It would have been a lot easier. They could have just used the Quartermain stables or whatever. But yeah. So Molly admitted her feelings to Michael, that she has feelings for Cody. Angel, yeah, that park scene with her novel, yeah, that was cringe. At first, the other guy that was in the story, I was like, who is this supposed to be? Because at first glance, I was like, is that Chase? And I was like, no, that's not Chase. But yeah. Cringe. Cringe, cringe, cringe. But yeah. Oh yeah, Taiwan. Yeah, they used names from, I think, One Life to Live characters in the story. Twitter said Molly and Michael should date. No. Twitter says a lot of things, Kaiwan, and all of it is batshit crazy. That is why I do not interact on Twitter. That's like I'm just like, no, I don't do soap Twitter. All I do is look at General Hospital's Twitter so I can copy the pictures that they use into the thumbnails of my videos. That is what I do. I'll look at anything anyone's saying. Alison, you said I don't like Cody and Ava. I mean, I don't either, but I don't think we're supposed to. I mean, like, if we didn't know Cody's motives, like, maybe they have a little bit of chemistry. Brooklyn, you said Cody and Molly will eventually hook up. Oh yeah. I'm sure they will. It's gonna be the slow burn. Poor Cody, like, the actor has had such bad luck with, like, couplings. Like, you think about it, first he had Britt, and then Kelly Tebow decided to leave the show. And then he got Sasha, and then the writers decided to make them literal biological cousins. And then there's Molly, and then Christina decides to use Cody to split up Ava and Rick. And they would have imploded on their own, honestly. I feel like Cody did next to nothing for it to happen. Cody's too old for who? For what? For Molly? But no, I don't think it would be more interesting. Like, Taiwan, I don't know what your family situation is like, but, you know, I grew up with, like, cousins that were like my brother and sister. Michael practically grew up with Molly. They probably see each other like brother and sister. So that's gross. Like, that's actually gross. He has been with, you know, he's seen Molly as a little infant baby and grew up with her. And Christina. Like, yeah, he was in a coma for a year, but, like, they grew up together. And they were always, you know, at family gatherings together. And I know that they've aged Molly, but, like, you know, still, they're adopted cousins. Yeah, but regardless, like, they grew up as family. So, like, they've always seen each other as family from, like, the get-go. So, blood-related or not, like, it's going to feel incestuous. Alright, though, y'all. I am going to end the stream. No Wednesday stream this week, by the way. I'm down to the last couple weeks before my show, my live show. My new single is officially available to pre-save on Spotify or pre-purchase on iTunes and Apple all that stuff. So that's exciting. The single is out 22nd of September. Yes, exactly, Allison. You know what is funny? I will say with Rory that plays Michael, I get Dylan Cash vibes, like Kid Michael. Like if he were to glow up, like just because they have similar hairstyles. But yeah, I don't know. I think Rory's doing a great job as Michael, though. For the record, I've been thoroughly enjoying him, and it's funny. A lot of interviewers that are talking to him are saying the same thing. Like, you were accepted as Michael like pretty quickly. So even Mo had nothing bad to say about him. And, you know, Mo will be honest, right? Alright, guys. But, yeah. I will catch you on the flip side next Sunday. If you liked this video, give it a big old thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. And I will catch you guys next week. Take care. Have a good week. I will see you next weekend.